Hey guys, welcome to the Off Duty podcast, the one-stop shop where we talk love, work, pleasure, and how we are going to create the lives that we desire.
So, grab a beverage, get cozy, and let's get ready for today's conversation. Hi, Penny.
Hi, Danny. How are you this morning?
I'm okay, thank you very much. I'm a bit tired, but I'll be fine. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Sometimes I feel like when you ask me that question, my mind just goes blank.
Yeah.
But I'm fine. I'm good.
That's good to hear. That's great to hear, actually.
Yeah.
How's your week been?
Again, my mind's just gone blank. My week's been good.
Yeah.
Just been chilling. Trying to do some uni work, catch up with all those bits.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of prepping to start new things, start new projects and new endeavours and all. And so yeah, how's your week been?
My week, so I've just had some time off, so it's been like a long enough period where it's felt like I'm actually off work. So going back in, I've just been trying to like find my feet again. It's a bit discombobulated, but you know.
Honestly.
But it's been okay. Could have been a lot worse.
And also the weather's been really nice.
How's it?
Come on, we had some nice
This week.
We had some nice sunny days.
Last week was okay. Maybe the Monday was alright. No, the Monday it rained. It started raining on the Monday. It was Friday, Saturday, Sunday that was good. Monday was raining. Do you remember? Because we went to the car boot sale. We went to a car boot sale.
Guys, we went to a car boot sale. Oh my gosh, what an experience that. No! You know what just popped in my head?
Those men
With the torches. It was giving New Orleans witch hunt.
I'm screaming.
Wasn't it though? Imagine we literally had just...
It was definitely giving invasive. It was definitely giving no personal space.
Who is she?
Listen.
And
we literally parked up. I say we. Penny parked up. We opened the boot to get the stuff out to like set it up because we were
like
selling.
A swarm of a swarm of flies, right?
Oh my goodness, it was a lot. They were literally like rooting through our bags. Like we haven't even set up. We hadn't opened nothing. They were open. Have you got any video games, sir? You were 50 years old. What do you need video games for?
Listen, let me not even say anything because I'll start offending people's dads.
But yeah, car boot sale was very interesting. It was a very interesting experience. It definitely could have been worse without the people we went with.
Yeah.
And
I feel like people should try it. I think in terms of like trying to make a bit of money on the side, and also just environment. Like it's good for the environment. It's a good way to. It's kind of like it's not upcycling. That's a lie. It's not upcycling.
But I guess it's a type of recycling maybe, because as opposed to throwing the clothes away, you're giving them to, is that recycling? I don't think that's recycling. But yeah, it seems more environmentally sound than just kind of throwing them away.
I agree.
Someone else can find use of something that you don't no longer need.
Yeah,
you don't
definitely.
no longer need anyway. Yes, so what is your fun fact? What are your fun facts, I say?
So me and Danny have decided that we're going to give you guys... We're going to spoil all of you. Because we are nice. You're welcome.
Lol.
Do you know what I realised as well? This is me going off topic. Right, I'm going to be quick.
Go on.
We didn't say that the podcast is bi-weekly, and so people are going to be like, when's the next episode? And
oh my god, we didn't.
It's every 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, so we've decided that we'll give you not one, but two fun facts.
2 for the price of 1.
Call that a bargain. Bargain on us. Not us going back from the car boot sale.
Listen, we're changed.
We are changing myself. My fun fact. You're not allowed to laugh.
Go on. Okay, I'll try out.
You can't laugh. So the first one is I look at old pictures of myself to see if my hairline's receding.
That is a fun fact.
And then I'm like, oh, never mind, your forehead's always just been that big.
I did not hear a word of that.
I'm just like, when I go back and look at my old pictures, I'm like, oh, never mind, your forehead's just been that big.
Screaming.
It's that East African in you, in case you'd be forgetting.
In case you forgot.
Yeah, what's your first fun fact?
Well, my fun fact is just that I have a thing for moisturizer generally.
Oh, some people don't know about that.
That part. Do you know what? That heavy on that part. I literally, generally, if I'm out and about, you will find me with a tub of cocoa butter.
Probably the size of my forehead.
At least. I'll have
wow. Be your own.
I have a tub of cocoa butter because I need to be moisturizing my lips at least once an hour. Like, that's just literally I feel like I'm even really, really underestimating that because I'm doing it at least 5 times.
And you know what's so funny? Danny, you had your shea butter on the table.
Oh
Excuse
God.
me, at the car boot sale,
Oh
and that
my
lady
God.
came over. She's like, "What's that?"
Girl.
She definitely didn't know what the hell.
She was
moisturizer
shaking
is.
it. She was shaking it to see if there's something inside. But yeah, that's my little fun fact.
No, but you know what? Sometimes people just do be getting around with dry crusty lips. Come on now, moisturizer, make them plump.
No, I think it's probably a little bit on the side of excessive.
A little bit.
I think it's a little tiny bit, like just like a little like toe.
In my personal professional opinion,
Toe, yeah.
it's a little bit much.
Is it? In your expert opinion?
In my expert
right.
opinion.
Okay, my bad. I guess I should really look into that then, shouldn't I?
Yeah. But do you know what I think? Do you know when I think of ashy? I always just think of like, do you know how people near people's ankles?
Yeah.
People just
In slippers specifically.
Not even slippers. Even when people are wearing like trainers, all you see is just
White.
dry and white. It's like, you do you. It's okay. We accept everybody.
People have different priorities, isn't it?
I'm screaming. I'm so dead. What's your second fun fact?
My second fun fact is that a movie one of my favorite movies, like in the past, and I just talked about this in the first thing. I don't really like to have favorites per se, but like one of the movies that immediately when someone says, "What's a movie you enjoy?" immediately this movie comes into my head. It's Everything Ever All at Once. Like, it came out last year, and immediately to the gut, immediately loved it. It just talks about so much. It encompasses so many different genres. It's just such a beautiful, like, masterful, insightful, just it's giving. It's such a good movie. It's such a good movie. Like,
Yeah.
I really, really enjoy it.
Really?
Really,
No
really
way.
enjoy it. I know.
Didn't know that.
Did you not know it?
No.
Oh, well, you know now.
Well, thank you.
What is your second fact?
My second fun fact is that I don't like seafood. Yeah, I just don't like it. I'll have like fish and chips. Maybe like actually the batter that's on the fish. But seafood, and I try it all the time. But
not bad of you.
My palate is just said no.
Fair enough. I like seafood, but even for me, there's a bit of a line for me. Like, I can do things like prawns. I can do things like, I don't know, just like the general fish that you think of. But I can't do things like mussels. You know, like more slimy foods.
You tried mussels though on Valentine's, remember?
Did I?
Yeah, that restaurant in London.
What?
I'm sure you did. I feel like you did.
We did it was scallops.
Scallops.
I'm screaming. Can you tell she's not in the kitchen?
She don't cook, she don't clean.
Yes, I do clean. But yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing yours.
Thank you. I mean, you're welcome.
I'm screaming. High five.
So should we get into the pod huddle?
We've not done our love notes from the
Oh
algorithm.
my goodness, we haven't. Oh my days. Look at me jumping ahead of myself.
But the thing is, like, we could talk about the pod huddle because today's episode is about self-love.
Love, love, love.
I don't know where that's from. Yeah, so today's episode is about love, self-love. And so I wonder, do your love notes from the algorithm mirror the framework of the episode or not?
I think so, yeah. I think it does.
Right, go on then. Go on, Danny Gill.
So my love note for the algorithm is a post I saw on Tumblr. I go on there every like once a month or something just to see what they're doing over there.
You're a true 90s babe.
So it was a post that said, the biggest lesson I'm learning is that nothing is as extreme or as permanent as our emotions convince us they are. Nothing is certain, and things are always fluctuating, and there are always exceptions, and there are always mistakes. There's always pain, and there's always love. Everything is a delicate touch away from changing. And that's from, the account is called oddishfeeling.tumblr.com, so in case you want to look it up. So this reminded me of, so when I'm in these spaces of like more like self-deprecation, or when I'm in this space of really just negative, this is like a really good reminder to just be like, okay, my thoughts aren't facts, and how I'm feeling right now is not, I guess, the only maybe explanation or the only possible like way to feel about this situation, essentially. And that just because I feel like this is what this is, like this is what it is, doesn't mean that is always the case, basically. I think also it reminds me of this thing that I always think about like equilibrium, in the sense that if something is bad, it's not going to be bad forever. Like whatever negative the struggle that is occurring at the moment, it's not going to be forever. Like there's always an equilibrium. Yeah. Things will balance out. And those are the things that I thought about when I read that.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, but heavy on the thoughts and facts, because sometimes your mind
be playing. It be bugging.
Like sometimes you just need to square up and be like, listen,
big boy, big man.
Hey there, big head. I don't think so.
Not big. What is your love note this week?
I think we're kind of like on a similar undertones, but mine is also from Tumblr, actually.
Really?
Mm-hmm. It's from bloom.tumblr.com, and basically they said the cure to self-sabotage is to anchor yourself in the universal truth that you're worth it, you're worth the effort, you're worth the difficult, you're worth the time, you're worth the consideration. There is never a point in your life, in time itself, that you're not worth it. Return to this truth when you feel yourself slipping. Do not let it go. Whew.
Yeah. Everything.
Honestly, I feel that kind of made me feel like some kind of like emotion. I'm like, oh, I'm a gangster, stop. Wow.
Yeah, that one's very like, yeah, it is what it is. It's self-explanatory there.
So, I'm really excited to discuss this concept of self-love.
Yes.
Because self-love is something that comes up quite a lot within mainstream media, just everywhere around us. It's like, self-love, you need to be doing A, B, C, D, E, you need to, long story short, it's very much something that's constantly coming up in our faces, but what is it and what does that mean? And so Danny and I came up with this concept of going through self-love as an alphabetical, self-love ABC.
Yeah.
And we felt that this will give us the concept to learn the different ways of how to be loving to ourselves and also others. And this will be a continual theme because self-love is something that's constantly changing, you're constantly learning new concepts of it. So we'll be revisiting it over the course of the podcast. And so
so today we're gonna do ABC.
Yes.
But yeah, so as we know, as we've experienced, self-love definitely isn't easy. We aren't, I guess, really born knowing how it is to love ourselves and to love other people. And you know, this is something that is we develop as we grow up through things like models, like the people that are around us when we're growing up or as we're developing. That can be guardians, parents, siblings, etc. And you know, unfortunately in society, we can develop some fallacies or some unhealthy, I guess, things that we might associate to self-love, or things that just counteract love of ourselves. And part of growth and I think the stage that we're at now is trying to unlearn or relearn what it actually is to love ourselves and to show ourselves love. So the first A, we've decided A is for acceptable. I mean acceptance. My bad. Oh, Jesus. My goodness. Is she okay? I don't think she's okay.
Unacceptable. Acceptable behaviour.
So what does acceptance look like for you when we're talking about self-love, Penny?
So with regards to self-love and some of the things that I've been learning, heavy on what you've just said about we don't necessarily grow up in living environments, but also on top of that, life is hard. Life is hard. And there's a book that I'm reading right now, and it's by, I think it's Scott Peck, and not just Scott Peck and also Bell Hooks, they mention the idea of that life is hard, and so one of the biggest things that you can do to kind of liberate yourself, but also kind of unload a bit of that burden that comes with the difficulty of life is acceptance. It's accepting that life is difficult and life is a struggle, and there's only so much that's within your own control, and so having that acceptance, I feel like it makes it a bit easier.
Definitely.
When navigating this society, just life in general. Speaking from personal experience, I had something that happened to me, and kind of looking back at all these different phases that I've been through with this thing that's happened. The first thing was I found it so difficult that it had happened to me. But now, kind of where I am now, I've accepted this has happened to me. I cannot change it. This is what life is, and being stuck in that space, it's not to say that, okay, I shouldn't sit in my feelings. Yes, I should sit in my feelings. Yes, I should acknowledge them. But also, I can't change it. I can't go back in time and, I can't change anything about this whole situation. And so I feel like accepting allows you to seek help, and it also allows you to understand how to navigate these systems and ultimately just protect your peace, because if there's one thing that we all deserve in this one lifetime that we have is peace. So I feel like acceptance helps you with that. How about you?
Definitely. I think I agree with that. I think a big part of just figuring out what self-love is to you and how to love yourself is by accepting that, like, unfortunately, and this is very, very unfortunate, that life is painful and it can be disappointing.
You know what I thought you were going to say?
What?
I was like, unfortunately, life is a series of unfortunate events.
I mean, unfortunately, yes. But also, I think part of that acceptance is accepting that whilst that is the case, there's also positivity in the world, and there's joy, and there's these moments of happiness. And like, I know for myself, like, life can be very, like, kind of dreary or whatever, but you do have these really beautiful moments of, like, when you're like hanging out with your friends, and you just, you know, that moment you're just like, oh wow, like this is what life's supposed to be. And I think it's almost inspirational for me in the sense that it makes me realize that actually that's what I'm trying to like hone in on, and that's what I'm trying to expand and maximize and fill up my whole life with. I think part of acceptance as well is accepting ourselves. So there's this I saw this TikTok, and this girl was talking about this talk by Elizabeth Gilbert, who was essentially talking about, she used this term, auditorium of space, which I think is actually really beautiful.
Yeah.
And she was talking about giving ourselves enough internal space to accept in ourselves the shameful parts of ourselves, and the qualities that we're really proud of, and things that we do that might be more petty, and things that we do that might be more wonderful and like more like, I don't know, pro-social or something like that, and just accepting that we're going to be all of these different things, and like that doesn't make you, it just makes you human. That's all it does. So as well as accepting like the pain and the joy of the world, also accepting that we are also the same. And I think a big part of that is, in society, how do I phrase this? I think one of the biggest tools that promotes, I guess, this more black and white thinking about ourselves, about life, about like existence, is like social media. There's this like really big push on success.
Monolithic, isn't it? So like
monolithic, that's a really good word for it.
We're all like supposed to be one person, but actually no, we are. Even like biology, let me tell you, I didn't do that well in biology, but one thing I do remember is that difference is very helpful. Difference is what saves like a whole population, because if we were all the same and had the same genetic makeup, if something came to wipe us out, we'd all be dead. So
we have different strengths, we have different experiences, and on social media they push very much like, you should be like this, you should seek success to be like this, and this is what will make you happy, and oftentimes it's these materialistic things that won't actually make you happy, and so there's a big drive on like distraction, and just like distraction from listening and understanding and feeling ourselves, and honing in on like our voice, because like you said before, there can be so much noise, especially when we're plugged into the internet. That is how we exist now, right? Being on Tumblr, being on Twitter, being on Instagram, etc. There's so many voices. This is what you should be hearing, this is what's correct, and that can drown out your own voice. And I think part of self-love is with accepting everything, and then tuning in.
Definitely. And also I think one thing is like, capitalism is very much a tool which is just trying to force us to be these soldiers, or these just clones, do you know, like little clones. And ultimately the biggest way that we can fight capitalism, the biggest but also most simplistic way that we can fight and actually break down such systems is actually by being ourselves.
Right.
Because if you're not yourself and you're following the rest of the, and you're just in this hamster wheel, you need to break the way. It's
no, absolutely. I'm here, girl. I'm feeling you. We're in the wavelength.
Yes, I'm glad, because sometimes these words just betray me. So
very much that. So B is for
bravery.
Yay! Clap, 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 clap,
I'm
clap, clap,
screaming.
clap.
Do not kill me. So being brave is an attribute which is, it's not easy to come by. Like, it's not something that's easy.
No, ma'am.
However, it's something that, in terms of self-love, it's required, whether in the most simplest of ways or in the most, like, the biggest mountains ever. An example to you guys is our podcast.
Oh my goodness.
This podcast has been hard. This idea for the podcast came back years and years ago. Started recording start of this year, but there's been so many issues that have popped up. And I think when it got down to the final things, it was a lot of our own internal things. I feel like that came up.
No, definitely. Still, for me anyway.
And it was very much like, crap, we might do this thing, and it's like, I don't know. What's on the other side of this?
Yeah.
Who are we?
I think I understand.
Long story short, me and Danny, I feel like we have been brave in embarking on this journey. It's so far out of our own comfort zone that it's like, it's been a wild ride. This is literally we're in the deep end in terms of, like, we are not women who have a technological background.
No.
And so this whole idea of podcasting, I just thought, we're gonna get on a mic, record.
Do you know what I mean?
And bish bash bosh.
You just plug it into the bloody the what's it called?
The
laptop.
And yeah, but I'm really proud of us.
Yeah, thank you. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So, as part of like the journey to self-love, you do that acceptance, and you realize, okay, this is the thingy I've been dealt. The what?
The cards that have been dealt.
Yeah, these are the cards that I've been dealt. Okay, perhaps I don't have a lot of control on like these really large, bigger things, but I have some control, like you said, of these small things, and it's being brave enough to take that control.
Yeah.
And try and use it in the best ways that you can.
Yeah. Do you know what I also forgot to say about being brave? Being brave requires standing up for yourself.
Yeah.
Being brave requires standing up for yourself within the home environment.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say like standing up for yourself in terms of your friends, but also just having bravery to have those difficult conversations with, whether it's your mom, your dad, your brothers, your friends, and standing up for yourself in the workplace, because
if it's not something that you are used to, like if you're not someone who's like very well spoken, who's very like just confident, if that's just not how you've grown up being, it takes a lot of strength and a lot of bravery to say something even when your voice is shaking. That quote.
Oh yes.
I don't know what it
I don't remember what that quote is either.
That one.
That
You know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about. I feel like further along the lines, our listeners will also get on the program, and they'll just know.
I think so.
I feel like that's just how it works personally.
So yeah, self-love takes a lot of bravery. It takes a lot of bravery.
Yeah, and also I think for C, we had written down commitment. So accepting yourself, being brave, but also being committed to who you're going to be.
Yeah.
It's commitment to your inner child, but also, I feel like that's kind of repeating what I just said, but commitment to your inner child, being in situations that you might not have seen yourself in, but knowing that actually on the other side of this, I know that this is serving me. I know that I'm going to be growing from this whole situation. And I think it takes time to cultivate these skills and these different ideas on how you can commit to yourself, because sometimes we know that this is what I need to do, however it's much harder to actually follow through with that.
Even get to that point of knowing what you need to do, that takes a lot of commitment. Because whilst we're saying that you have some control over like your circumstances, the things that you don't have control over are oppressive. They're so oppressive, and they're stepping on our necks. And like the little control that we have, whilst we do have it, it's very difficult to like utilize and to like figure out what to even use it on. Like,
do you know what I did the other day? Someone was telling me how at the age that we're at, we're really mature, and I didn't actually deep it, but the more you actually go out of your own like circle of influence, you realize how so many people actually never go on these journeys to step out of that. And it's like, wow, this is crazy, because people be 40, they be, not to say that they can't unlearn these things that they know, however, they're at that age where they have children, so what kind of example are they setting? Not even just children, but they are role models, they're in workspaces, what kind of interactions are they having, and
how are they feeling about themselves as well? Because I think as difficult as it is to go through like all of these different like progressions and these different, I guess, developments in
stages of life,
maybe is that it just teaches us, first of all, to have like confidence in ourselves, but also to just like, I think back to like even like when I was in university, when I was starting uni, so that was like a few years ago, how like insecure I was back then, for example, and the sort of things that I was thinking to then make me insecure, and the way that I was perceiving society and the way that I was perceiving myself. If I had not gone through like some level of healing, some level of relearning, that's where I would be. And that was not a great place. So just that you basically you're just not going through that. Oh no, like it's not me that's wrong. It's not me that's wrong. It's like society's what's wrong, and just the piece of that, knowing that you're not the person who's.
Yeah, you do need to shed like parts of yourself as well. Like as you're on this journey and you're going through different life stages, there's things that you will obviously need from when you were younger. But there's other things and other tools and other things. Look at me repeat myself. There's things that you do need to let go of. Whether that's ideas, concepts, friends, people, just all those things build you.
Knowledge is liberation,
girl.
We've also got some other words because we thought they were still quite relevant.
So many good
so we also have consistency, which is quite similar to the commitment aspect of it. Because like I've said, it can be really difficult to figure out what to do, and then the doingness of it, the doing of it, the implementation part of this
consistency
strategy
is
key. And let me tell y'all, this is something that I struggle with for sure.
Girl.
For sure. Like, I know like what I need to be doing generally.
Don't we all?
But like being consistent is just such a struggle sometimes, especially when you're tired, or when you're tired, when you've not had a good day, when whatever the reason might be. Right, whatever the reason might be, maybe you're procrastinating because you're anxious about it. The commitment part of it, the consistency part of it,
it's hard.
It's hard.
But you know, and I remember there's a person that we were friends with a few years back, and they were talking about, we will discuss habits later on in the episodes and stuff. Starting small is so like important, and that's how you build better habits.
Oh my goodness.
I was speaking to Nomsa, our best friend, earlier this week, and I was saying to her like, you see me posting here going to the gym. I actually don't like going to the gym. It's so hard getting up in the morning, but I always know, like, because I've got swimming at the end of it, I'm like, hallelujah. But these last 4 months, I'm so happy I've been able to kind of keep that routine, because I was like, when I start my new job and it's completely different to what I've been doing in the past, I need to be able to get up. And there's there's a whole new level of discipline that I need to have.
Yeah.
That if I wasn't doing this for the past few months, I don't feel like I'd be setting myself up to fail a little bit. I'd be setting myself up to fail.
Yeah.
Because
I think and I guess this is to do with like the acceptance part of this. I think once we are part of being consistent is what is understanding that if we have an acceptance of self and knowing that there's all these different versions of ourselves, right? So good and bad, and we know that sometimes this can be, and I think actually it's perfectly aligned to what you just said about starting small. If you know that you're someone who is, you know, that you're an anxious person that leads to procrastination, for example, starting small, like you just said, it's key. It's the only way that you're going to do it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And so I think what I'm trying to say is that it's linked to the acceptance part of ourselves. It's understanding how we are and how the qualities that we have, and trying to make sure that those align with you've made like contingency plans for trying to be better, and like I'm not saying that very clearly.
But you know what you're saying makes complete sense, because I think in the past I've said giving yourself the best chance to win, and that sounds like giving yourself the best chance to win, because you know yourself and you know how if something like this if say you have a bad day, breaking these things down, and like we said in the past, how for me when if I'm trying to do something, it'll be a case of writing out what I'm going to do that day, and just having things to tick off the list. And you've also in the past have also said, if you're having a bad day and the most that you do is literally get out of bed, make a bed and shower, that is also enough. But in terms of like being consistent is breaking out, just being being brave enough to just know that this is serving like a much bigger purpose. Rome wasn't built in a day.
It wasn't. And it's also like that aspect of we're all on different journeys.
Yes.
And so you can't model how you get there to how someone else gets there. You can have inspirations, of course, because it's important to have something where you're looking to be. But if we understand how we are, and therefore create a personalized
framework,
essentially strategy framework, then you're more likely to be consistent, and that consistency, like you've said, is key to get into where you want to be. Because
my final point on this, because I feel like we'll just start repeating ourselves. My final point on this is
too late.
I was reading there was this book that I was reading, and they're basically saying do you know how all these like Instagram motivators, those key speakers, like wake up at 4 a.m, do this, break your leg, and then literally just run like 10k. They don't say that, but there was this person, their book was saying how we all have like different body clocks, and so some people who can be like early risers and all that stuff, great, perfect, but then there's people who they work and they function best during the day, or there's people who function best at night. And so go online, find something where you do all these things, because to be fair, you know yourself. For me, for example, I love working at night. Like I will get more done between 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. than I do all day. And so again, with the idea of like, if you're an anxious person, finding times where, if say like you know that life is hard, you're going to want to spend quite a lot of time in the day, maybe just try and find which times you are most productive in, and then knowing that I'm going to get up and I'm going to make that 1 hour count, and I'm going to do what it is I need to do. And if you do that consistently,
that's more than you were doing before.
That part. Anyway.
Okay. So the last C is about community. So C for community. So it's important to, while we're on this journey, it's important to surround ourselves with people who are either in a similar journey, or people that, I guess, prompt us to be ourselves, because they are themselves, or they're also striving for that for that same goal. It's about trying to, I guess, intentionally create a system of love that feeds into itself, that is expansive and it's full, because like we talked about earlier, we have all these different parts of ourselves, and sometimes we mess up, and sometimes we need someone to like let us know, like, okay, this is how maybe you could have handled this, or this is how you could, something you're struggling with, maybe they're not struggling with. So that idea of like we're different, so someone's strengths are not your strengths, and so they can help you with what they have that you are lacking. And in that way you're creating this like growth community, you know what I mean, where and also last thing,
Screaming.
when you're like feeling low in mood, I know for myself, when I'm feeling low in mood, I want to just kind of like be alone, I want to be in my bed, I don't want to make plans, I want to be cancelling plans, etc, etc. And most of the times when you're in that space, the best thing that you need to do is the opposite thing. So when your brain is telling you just be alone, just you can't hack it right now, sometimes you need to listen to that, but other times it's about doing the opposite thing, right? It's about seeking out the people that can handle you in the way that you need to be handled.
I agree.
And that takes community, especially, which opposes, I guess, what capitalist society is trying to tell us
again
to isolate ourselves and to be alone.
And also, like, it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to be who you are. We're everywhere that you look, social media again, and in the past you've also said about like this idea of like, is it therapy and psychology in the 21st century? It's very much the self, the individual, but actually we're a collective. And if we've all got these different tools to bring to the table, and that's how we can all grow.
Very much that. I think sometimes we can understand like capitalism is, while it's about like money and stuff like that, it seeps in, it's like so much more, it seeps into everything and it taints everything. And I think we just have to remember as well, as part of loving ourselves, is to just try to be like really critical about like everything. Critical in the sense that just because it's something that is being accepted in society as like the new normal, or the new, I don't know, the way to be, we have to just think like, is this serving the ultimate purpose? Because at the end of the day, we're social creatures. Do you know what I mean?
And also, if you're in a community where you don't feel accepted, find a different community. Because there's so many people
that
who have these different ideas. And like, for example, like you and me, we have complete different friendship groups, although we're best friends. Do you know what I mean? Like, find people who resonate with all these different facets of you, and it's important. And that's the beautiful thing about life. That's the beautiful thing about life. So our final segment of the pod huddle, we're just gonna kind of bounce each other off a few questions that we've come up with. So, Danny girl, why is self-love not easy?
Self-love isn't easy because, like we've talked about before, I guess this is just a reiteration. With social media being a big part of our lives, there is a very big push on one thing, on like success is one thing, on essentially just a distraction and a misdirection from ourselves and like what we feel and our voices, and you know what happiness is for ourselves. And I think realizing that is one step, then figuring out what it is that we want is one step, and then trying to achieve it is another step. And so I think all of that whole process is really, it can be really difficult, it can be really draining, and that's at least part of why it's not very easy. I agree. What about you? What are your thoughts on that?
Heavy on the comparison. The digital era that we're living in is doing a madness on all of us. And again, some of us haven't. Not some of us. I'm not speaking personally, but like the idea of having been in a loving environment. Sometimes people just don't have that. Whether that's family, whether that's like the actual community, that you're in.
Yeah.
The community could be oppressive to women, like could be very misogynistic. And yeah, sometimes the friends that you have. So that can really seep into how you feel about yourself and how you see yourself.
Absolutely.
And also like, no, that's it.
That's the end.
That's the end.
So how's the concept of self-love kind of changed for you over the years?
I feel like it's becoming a lot more simpler. I think something that's really helped me recently is the books that I've been reading, but also my friends have helped me a lot in this. For me, one thing when I think of self-love, there's a pivotal point in my life. I can't remember what years it were. I remember of a time when I went through this period of time where I just could not look at myself in the mirror. And I don't know whether there was definitely an element of self-hate, and I can't remember what it was, and I feel like it's that whole thing of, you know, when you do something and then you just internalize it so much, and then it literally manifested in the form of just not being able to look at myself in the mirror. But how has it changed over the years? I have the biggest mirror in my bedroom, and I have mirrors everywhere. Something that has helped me with my self-love has been, I think, standing in my truth, being more honest. My pageant helped. Being a Miss Uganda really made me realize that my beauty is not tied to my physical outward appearance. It's really much my heart, what I do, who I touch, and that's what love is to me.
Yeah.
How about you?
I think for me, how it's changed, how it's developed is that I think before I was very much, I guess, out of tune with myself. I was very much for other people's comfort, other people's making sure that everyone else is okay, and just, I think maybe that was just an adaptive thing that I just somehow developed growing up, that I just need to make sure that everyone else around me is okay so that I can be okay. But what that meant was that I was thinking of myself last in like most situations. And then I think I went through this like phase of like,
not awesome phases.
this phase of like just being like on the very flip side, being very mistrustful of other people. And I think now it's kind of I'm trying to marry the two, which is to say that I'm trying to, whilst holding the feelings of other people and you know, just caring for others, it's about also caring for myself and showing myself love and not putting that like below anything, and not to say it's above anything else either, but just having that equilibrium of valuing myself and others. Equally.
That's important. That's always handy,
I guess. So yeah, and very, very heavy on the internalized hate. Very heavy on that.
But you know, another thing that also, in terms of love, I feel like one thing that grounds me in every time like my negative self like comes to the surface,
comes screaming
and screaming out like every time that person or that voice comes out, something that grounds me is that I am surrounded by so many good human beings.
Oh my goodness,
I am surrounded by so many good human beings who love me and who have shown me time and time again that they love me, and I just feel like it's not a coincidence that I have good human beings. And like, you know that saying of birds of a feather flock together? So
amen.
Every time I'm always like going through this rabbit hole of like, ew, like, let me tell you, that negative voice in my head, sometimes it does be negative.
Tell my man, shut up.
Because I feel like one thing that really grounds me, it's just like my brothers will just come out with something so good, and I'm just like, I can't believe you really think that about me.
Oh my goodness,
And that just really it just tears me apart, because I'm just like, I just have some horrible things that I say to myself sometimes. And then say if my nephew goes, I love you, and I'm just like, children actually see you, and they see, I feel like if you want truth and if you want actual real like reality, like if you want truth from anybody, it's a child that will give you that truth. And when my nephew tells me he loves me, I feel like I don't feel deserving of this love, but because he is giving it to me, there must be an element of me which is capable of
garnering that.
Yeah. And so that's what helps ground me.
Yeah, that's a really good way to do it as well. Yeah.
How do you show yourself self-love?
I mean, I guess like that thing that you were talking about internalized hate. For me, it's forgiving myself and reminding myself that I'm more than just the negative things that I feel,
girl.
And do you know what? I guess it's in I guess it indirect maybe. I don't know, whatever. Not direct. So indirect.
Not direct.
Just thinking like, I mean, no, it's literally a replication of what you've just said actually. Sometimes like, you know, when you are in this like, when I'm just thinking like, oh my god, you're so awful, or like you're look like, what are you doing type of thing. Like I'm just like, no, it's fine. Like I just feel like, knowing from what I know the people around me, if I was just as like this ball of terribleness that I'm thinking I am, like I don't think that the people around me would be in that, would have like that kind of energy. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's just trying to remind myself like, okay, they see me good, they see good in me, so I can see good, I can feel good, and it's not all I am.
Yeah.
It's literally what you just said. It's literally what you just said, but it's just like, yeah. You can just spiral sometimes, and it's just like, no, it's fine. I'm okay. I'm fine. And to be honest, like there's so much worse that can happen. Like I could be so much worse, but I
could be Ted Bundy or Jeffrey Dahmer.
Oh my goodness.
I hope those are the right people that we're talking about.
Yeah, I think they are. I know who we're talking about anyway. They're pretty like, they've done some pretty awful things anyway.
Yeah. For me, like with what you've just said, heavy on the forgiving yourself, but also in terms of showing myself self-love, I remain teachable. Bell Hooks said, to risk self-knowledge is to begin love's journey, and remaining teachable has been in the form of reading these books, listening to what my friends have to say, sitting with my feelings. Your feelings tell you a lot about yourself. Oh my gosh, there's this quote, and I bet you I'm not going to find it because I have like 35,000 pictures which I'm supposed to be deleting, and I haven't. Where are we? Let me see. Okay, so there's this quote by she's called Brianna Wiest. I am really sorry. Her surname is spelled Wiest, and she wrote this book called 100 Essays That Will Change the Way You Think. And so I can't remember what this essay is called, but it's on page 229 if you do have the book. Don't say I've never done anything nice for you. It basically says, choose change. Let me not read that whole quote, I'm going to confuse you guys. What I've highlighted says, everything you do, see, feel is not a reflection of who you are, but how you are. You create what you believe, you see what you want, you'll have what you give. And I mean this to say that our feelings tell us a lot about ourselves, so running away from them is something that I've done quite a lot of in the past, and it has been a privilege to have the time to sit and actually unpack what these different feelings have been and what these different feelings are trying to tell me. Through this phase or period of time, I've been able to kind of recognize these feelings that crop up and when they crop up, and kind of try to understand where they're coming from. And then also with the help of my therapist, see what the source and what the root cause of these feelings are. So coming back round, remain teachable, learn new concepts about, not just about things, but just you as yourself, like be open to it.
Yeah. And I think that concludes our pod huddle for this episode.
Yeah, it does. That was a very heavy, maybe. It was. There was a lot.
Okay, so we're gonna get into the action points of the Lazy Person's Guide to Saving the World.
For this week, I would like you guys to, including you, Danny, write yourself a letter, put it in an envelope, and open it at the end of the year. You can either put it in your outside or put it somewhere where you'll see it, so that you don't, because if it's there for the next however long, you might forget, but put it somewhere where you'll remember, and just write to yourself just anything and everything, and just open it at the end of the year and see where you're at.
That sounds like it would be really it could potentially be a quite an emotional experience of reading it, after a period of time. There's this, I saw a TikTok, and there's this service in, I don't know, a different country, potentially it could be here, I've just not researched, where you can mail things, you go to this store and you put the letter and what time you want it to be mailed, and the people mail it for you at that time. So you write it to yourself generally.
We will find it and tell people. Yeah. Okay, I mean, that's a lot of pressure, but
if we find it, we'll tell you. Yeah.
What's yours, Danny?
Mine is when we're feeling, and this is something that I actually do, I'm very, let me say the point first. When you're you feel that negative self-talk coming on, or where you're in the depth of it, you're in the pits of it, self-deprecation, you're feeling overwhelmed, maybe you're spiraling a little bit, maybe you've made a mistake, just taking a pause and taking some deep breaths. So there's this thing called square breathing, and essentially it's you inhale for 4 seconds, you hold for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, and then you hold again for 4 seconds. And it's just about making sure that you're breathing deeply and you're breathing,
consciously breathing, isn't it? And
just consciously breathing. Breathing is something that I do a lot especially when I'm getting overwhelmed, when I'm feeling just oh my god, what's happening, just even holding your chest might be helpful, and just taking deep breaths and just repeating to yourself some true things, I'm okay, it's gonna be okay, things I'm doing the best I can, mistakes don't make me less capable, anything like that, just something affirmative for yourself in that moment, and just repeating it, and I guess it's a bit of a pause, so then you can handle the situation again, in the best way that you can. So that's my little note. I mean, my action point.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for sharing. It's been lovely talking to you as always.
It has been lovely, and it's been a hot minute, and it's been lovely.
It has been lovely, and it has been a hot minute. You're right.
Thank you guys. Also, thank you guys for listening to our podcast. We have had so much positive feedback.
I know.
From our loved ones, from our English. But yeah, thank you so much for the feedback. We really appreciate it. Thank you for following our socials. Thank you for the love. It goes such a long way.
It does. It makes a difference, because this is, we've said, a really scary thing to be doing, and receiving support and being held in this vulnerability that we're engaging in is really affirmative.
Yeah.
So thank you.
One of the funniest feedbacks that I got, it was of my mum. She was like, I like the episode, but make it 30 minutes.
Keep it short. Keep it short and snappy. We've got things to do.
Sorry about it. Then we talk a lot, and also we go round and round and round in circles, so no can do, okay?
Yeah, but thank you so much, guys.
Thank you so much for tuning in. So as always, our socials are at the bottom of our are in the episode description.
Yeah.
So follow us, like us. No, follow us. Like the page.
Yeah. So our Instagram is @theoffdutypod. Twitter is @theoffdutypod, and our Gmail is offdutypodsubmissions@gmail.com. Yeah.
So catch you on the flip side.
Catch you on the flip side.
Bye.